Twin cam. Okay, so today we're doing a few things today actually. We're going to be replacing the rear engine mounts. We're replacing the shocks. Shocks are easy to take off. I don't even need to show you that. In fact, I don't need to show you about the engine mounts. I do want to show you one little problem that occurs with the 2013 FXDC, which is what this bike is here currently. If you're looking on the floor here, you can see I've taken off the rear slip-on and the both of the rear slip-ons, should I say. And I've also taken the suspension down. Now, a lot of people say you don't need to take the suspension, but the only way I'm going to get any sort of room is to jack this wheel all the way up into the guard. Also, it looks kind of cool too. So with that in mind, you can see my setup here, bottle jack raised up as far as high as it goes. Gives me lots of room to get in underneath here, which is where the bolts are. They're up in there, at least the Allen bolts. Now, there are some people who say you don't need to take your exhaust off to get to the bolts on the side. However, on the FXDC, you certainly do, depending on your exhaust, of course. This is a stock exhaust up to here, and then just with Vance and Hines slip-ons on the underside. And they come down through here, which is directly opposite the bolts. Once you've got them out of the way, the only other tip I would suggest you do is just undo the rear brake reservoir so that you can bend it down just slightly like that, so you can get directly into the bolts that you see, hopefully, in there. I've got very little room where I am at the moment, but basically there's 9/16 bolts. Let's get a bit closer, shall we, so we can see what we're doing. Those two there are 9/16 bolt on both sides. There's obviously a nut on the other side. Now, if you've got a 9/16 wrench on the other side that's long enough and deep-seated enough, which I do, you can lock those off. Now with an almost straight line in to those, I don't need to muck about with these sort of things, right? These little wobble units. I hate these. I know they're useful. They've only come in handy 3 or 4 times in my entire 20-odd years of wrenching on things. It's a little bit longer than that. But anyway, what I'm saying is yeah, I hate them. So if I can not use them, it's great. So now the answer is to take those two out, then raise the engine up slightly so that I can take the weight of the engine off. I've got everything set up over on this side for that. And we drop the Allen bolts and we'll pop the rear engine mount out. Shock replacement is shock replacement. It's easy as hell. Looks like I'm going to actually have to put these on. These are the little things that hold the panniers on. Not panniers, pannier bags. Don't really use them. Would like to get rid of them, but the bolts are too long and they would probably stick out all the way into here, which actually isn't too bad. But, you know, I've got some ideas. Quick update, basically. The one on the right is the old one, and the one on the left is the new one. Now, if you look at the one on the right, which is the supposed buggered one, it doesn't look too bad, right? You might be thinking, oh yeah, got a couple of more miles out of that one, etc., or kilometres. But have a look at this. This is going to be quite tricky. I've got to do this with one hand. But if you look at the where it mounts to the engine rather than to the frame, this is where it mounts to the frame down here, this bit here. This bit here, which is mounts to the engine, have a look at the difference between the old and the new with regards to the width. Now that means that has been compressed. Now let's just see if I can do the old trick as before. No, I can't. Didn't really think I would be able to, but that's quite noticeable, the difference between that. Now I don't know how long that's been in the bike. Let's just quickly put the two beside each other in the same orientation. However, they recommend to put new ones in when you put new ones in, so that's what I'm going to do now. It was a big palaver. I got jacks all over the place and stuff like that because I made a mistake on where I lifted the frame. I don't want to show you that. For the person who designed that, special place in hell. That took a long time to do. It is, however, in there and is now fully torqued up. All the bolts are loctited and ready to go. I've left the exhaust off because now, as you can see, I'm leveling the bike to test for the alignment.
12 seconds later.
Okay, well, unfortunately, it's slightly out of alignment. Now, it could be down to the fact that I haven't got it absolutely perfectly level. I'm going to try that, but right now it's as level as I can pretty much make it on an unlevel ground. So how I'm done my test is this. This is a Motion Pro alignment tool for Harleys, okay? And normally what you do is you use it in here and you put, sorry, go around the other way, wait a second. Normally what happens is you put it in the little hole there, you then take a mark there, and then you walk over to the other side and you do the other side. Let go, thank you. But you see how long it is, and I'll just go from the ground to the top. Actually is quite handy for other things as well, including, oddly enough, measuring the distance between the top eye bolt and the lower eye bolt. Happy days, boys. Okay, so what we've got is I've managed to make the angle a little bit more true to the world. Here is the Motion Pro alignment tool. Oop. And I've got it basically going into the eyelet there, onto the actual eyelet itself. And let's put it correctly. And just on the ridge down here, into the eyelet. So we'll do the same on the other side. I've cut about me actually saying, oh my God, it's actually wheeled, and I cut the bit that I'm actually crying. So we just put that on that bit, and that just, it's ever so slightly, and we're talking 1 mil, maybe 2 mil maximum out. And to give you an idea of that, that's about maybe half the size of this rod, maybe, something like that. And I think I'm going to live with that. If it's a problem, I know how to fix it. But I really don't want to have to lift this tank. I certainly don't want to take it off, because you've got to cut these and cut those things down there that I'm pointing to with the tool and so forth. But I think I've had a win, or at least a certain amount of win. And I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to put the shocks back on. Then I'm going to check the belt tension, because I actually did the belt tension based on a very off. This wheel was very noticeably this way, rather than it's pretty much center at the moment by the looks of it. Very far off to the left. So I think my belt tension is probably incorrect after that. So I'll be doing that, and I'll do another align tool using the align tool, which I don't think you need help to work out how that works, but it's just like that, and you put it in the middle and measure your two sides. So, well, hopefully that will be that. Happy days. And I'll pick it up once the rear shocks are on. Well, the saga continues. Basically, I've checked the front wheel bearings. They're perfectly okay. I am actually going to look at lubricating these things. I've seen some things online. These should actually be spinning, and they're not spinning. I'm not quite sure whether that's a good thing or not. But more importantly, I still have the wobble, but I think I found out what the wobble was. I've taken the wheel off. It's not in there. The problem is down here with the bearing. This is the side, the bearing, that has the problem. The other side is freewheeling and is perfectly good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the microphone right next to the area so you can hear the sound that it's making. You certainly can't feel the graunch that is happening, but I can feel the graunch. Okay, so hopefully this will work. What we're going to see is in here, this one is awful. Not only does it not spin very easily, but also it's very notchy indeed. It also looks very iffy. So I'm waiting on iffy is a technical term. I'm waiting on a tool, so unfortunately I can't do much with the bike today, but I do have an electrical issue with my LED front headlight. I believe the cheap Chinese resistor has finally given up the ghost, because I've got a constant red light on the front. So we'll pick this up after I've got my bearing tool and I either destroy this wheel or I've got it fixed.
One eternity later.
Well, the wheel bearings are in, and they went in and out without too much of a problem. The problem with the wheel bearing, this is the broken one, absolutely buggered. Now you can actually see I didn't do any of that. It's actually popped out on one side comparatively to the other side. It's notchy, it's in ridiculously bad condition. Now, pretty sure that is down to the alignment of the wheel. It was to the left, which was putting undue pressure on this left bearing. This is the non-ABS side. Now, with that in mind, I've put the new one in. These guys, this is All Balls Racing. All Balls, here we go, one of them. All Balls Racing. These guys come with a handy little thing that tells you which way you've got to put them in. So you really can't can't get it wrong. So I've got them both in. Unfortunately, it necessitated the sprocket to being taken off. I've got some new sprocket bolts as well, so I'm going to be putting those back on. Just wanted to say that this was a cheap-ish Amazon bearing installer and remover, about 80 Australian dollars. Now, normally they don't come with instructions, but look at this. It even came with instructions telling you, like the manual, to install the left side first. So I was actually quite impressed with that. I'll leave a link to the one that I actually bought. I'm going to spray WD-40 over it all before packing it away, and probably not needing to use it for another 20,000 kilometers. It can be used for other things as well. It's got larger claws and things like that. So anyway, so the job is done. We shall see whether or not this was the reason. I would suggest almost certainly from that bearing that is absolutely buggered. So on that happy note, we'll pick it up once it's all back installed. Mistakes were made. So it looks like it's all back together, and I spent about 2 to 3 hours making sure everything's okay. Thank you. But do not make this mistake that I've made. See this line right here? That is the ABS sensor on a rear. Do not put it where I have it, which is on the inside of this area here. You should really put it out here so that it can meet the clips, etc. I have to undo every single thing. It took me 45 minutes to get the alignment right and the belt tension right, and I get to do it all over again. Obviously, I'm not in my garage, so yes, it's fixed. I'm pretty bloody happy about that, to be honest. It was the wheel bearings. As soon as I put this is the second ride today. First ride was just a rundown. To give you an idea of what was happening, the wobble appeared at all levels. So, for an example, it would be doing it right now, for example, if it had been going. Once I'd fixed my stupid mistake of the wheel sensor, yes, I got it wrong in the previous video. Basically, couldn't do any more because the All Blacks were on TV, and I don't miss the All Blacks for anything, even a ride on my bike. So with that said, I had to wait till today, and as you can see, it's looking very iffy. I'm going to get rained on, but I did a quick 60-kilometer check, a hard right, hard left, and a full U-turn, and the roads are way worse than what you see here in Hervey Bay. This is luxury, comparatively wise, and it's gone. There's no wobble. There's nothing at all. It's super planted on the ground. The new shocks are great, absolutely. I can't feel anything. My bottom is just cosseted in this lush fluffiness. Those are Progressive 412 shocks, so the cheapest ones you can get from Progressive, but they're so much better than the stock, to the point where you'd consider getting shocks over a new seat. I've still got the stock seat. I didn't have a problem with the stock seat anyway, but now it's like being on air. It's unbelievable change. The front has got new Progressive shocks. I haven't really braked There we go, braked. Braked hard to actually find out whether or not they are problem or not with regards to brake dive and so forth and so on. They feel a little bit more firmer in the front, you know, but I'm not one of these motorcyclists that can feel suspension changes, you know, like those MotoGP types, you know. I don't know whether that's a thing or not. Anyway, so the purpose of this trip is really to say, yay, I fixed it, and I'm getting some more Loctite because I've gone through a whole bottle of Loctite in fixing this wobble. Harley Davidson, they've probably got shares in Loctite. Anyway, so we're just going to go up to Bunnings up on there and so forth and so on. The most hated turn in Harvey Bay is turning up right now. This roundabout with the tree on it. If you want to turn right, you have to be in the right lane, but they've done something rather odd with the lane assignments, and people can turn into your lane later. It's my mum, when she comes through here and she's a passenger, she actually doesn't like looking, which I can understand, to be honest, because it's right here. See this? And then you got to get across. It's counterintuitive. So anyway, success, boys and girls, but there's probably boys. Let's be honest. I do have a red light on my on my indicator here. Sorry, not indicator, on my dial. I am absolutely positive that I still haven't fixed that LED front light of mine, and so probably what's happening there is throwing up an error, 2146, I think it is. I'll have a look. I can have a look when I get in here. If these guys will ever hurry up. I'm just going to take it nice and slowly. But yeah, success, guys. It's a great feeling. I did it all myself. Yes, there were mistakes made, etc., etc. And yes, it was probably more expensive than it needed to be. I probably didn't need to get a new front engine mount, or should I say, as good a front engine mount as I have. But slips into neutral perfectly with the new red line oil. Yeah, I probably didn't need that front engine mount, and so forth and so on. But overall, it's done. So that's it. Got my big tool bag here. It's full of tons. I can literally field strip an entire Harley on that almost. Don't have feeler gauges, but I've got a bottle of Loctite in there and all that. So on that note, thanks very much for watching. That's the end of the saga.